Hi, everybody. So today I want to talk about how people don't care and how it is better to talk to AI. And I'm saying this as someone who is schizoid, and I've become even more schizoid, more introverted, and less inclined to talk to people. Because before I used to do a lot of soul searching, and I did post a comment. Somebody was asking me did I have any questions about a specific topic, and I'm just like, I don't really have questions. I have answers. And people took that the wrong way, like I was being arrogant. It's not that I was being arrogant, it's that I have done soul searching for many years. I did try to seek wisdom from elders, from people who I thought were more knowledgeable than me. I don't have questions because now I know that they don't have any answers. So I think it's pointless to even talk to people most of the time. It's more helpful for me to do my own research or to rely on AI. So I don't have questions. That's not me saying that I know it all, but it's just like it's pointless to have the conversation. Now, we're taught that we're social animals and to have a connection with other humans is the way to have a meaningful life. We're told that the solution to everything is to talk about it. I mean, I don't know how often it is that people just think that you want to talk. It's just like people ask you like how you're doing, and of course you have to lie and say that you're doing well. But when you actually give an answer because you're tired of putting on a facade, then it's like, okay, well, what's wrong? I don't want to talk. That's why I lie in the first place to say that things are doing great, even though they're not, because I don't want to talk about it. I already know that you don't have any solutions. So I don't think the evidence actually bears out, or that it does. There's no evidence that talking to people actually makes you feel better. I don't think it usually makes me feel better. And it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. People know that when they talk to other people, the likely outcome is not that they're going to help you. The more likely outcome is that they're going to weaponize the information that you shared and actually use it as gossip. And they're basically going to put that in their arsenal. They're going to file it away for a rainy day when they're upset with you. And then they're going to bring up all the things that you share with them to try to embarrass you, to try to get you to do what they want you to do. So they always say that you should trust people. I don't think you should, especially in a workplace, especially in environments where they could potentially use that information against you. I have made that mistake before in the past where I have shared information. I used to be a complete open book. I don't do that anymore. And even if people are sharing their stories, you may think that, oh, because that person gave me dirt about themselves, that means that I can share my information. Now we have dirt on each other. That doesn't mean anything. Even the dirt that they share may not even be true. And even if it is true, they might not necessarily care about people knowing about their business because they don't have any shame. You may care. You may not want other people to know your business. So a lot of times you don't get any help when you talk to other people. They don't offer any advice. If instead they'll just deflect. If you talk about your problems, they'll talk to you about looking at it from the bright side, stop complaining. They'll deflect. They'll talk about themselves instead. They don't actually engage with what you're saying. They don't actually offer any solutions. Instead, what they offer is a dismissal. They'll just say something positive that I guess is supposed to make you feel better, but they're not actually helping you to find real solutions. And this happens over and over. You think, okay, maybe if I just talk to the right person, maybe the right person has more information. You keep exposing yourself, you keep divulging personal information to these people, and you never get anything out of it. Now, why does this happen? You assume, I guess people assume that people think the way that they think. You think that when you're listening to other people, you have the ability to remove yourself from the situation and just provide meaningful feedback. That's not the way other people think. When you talk about your personal hardships, they're not trying to be helpful. They're actually filtering it through their minds. They're trying to figure out, how does your story relate to them? How does it benefit them? How does it threaten their worldview? What does engaging with your problem cost me? And so that's why the advice is not useful. It's not about you, it's about them. A lot of times, it's not even like they're talking to a real person. It's just like they're watching a movie. Like, you think that you're trying to get information, and really they're just trying to be entertained. And if your story isn't entertaining or compelling enough, they're just going to dismiss it. And so they think that they should get credit just because they listened. And this is a problem that I've run into many times, because there's never any output. This is only input coming from you. You're divulging, you're sharing. All they're doing is asking more and more questions because maybe they find your story entertaining. And you keep providing more information thinking, okay, if I answer their questions, maybe at the end of this discussion, they'll actually offer some solutions. Of course, they don't. Instead, what they offer is some emotional bullshit. You're looking for solutions, and then what they hear is that you're looking for pity. And this is the problem that I've been running into when I try to promote the right to mate. They think that I'm just looking for attention, that I don't know, I want somebody to feel sorry for me. That's clearly not what I want. It does nothing for me. Again, I'm schizoid. I don't need narcissistic supply. I don't necessarily need or want attention. If I do talk about myself, it's because I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to use myself as an example. I don't care. I don't even like attention. I really don't. Not about myself, more so about the arguments I'm trying to make. So because they're always trying to filter your narrative to see how it relates to them, they're trying to insert themselves. The inevitable outcome is that you're not going to get anything useful from them. The typical response you're going to get from people is something about themselves. Many times they will lure you into a debate, or they'll get defensive, even when you're talking about something that has nothing to do with them. Even if you talk about antinatalism, or you want the right, or whatever. I'm trying to give concrete examples. Maybe these aren't the best examples. These are the ones that I've encountered recently. But even when I'm talking about issues like that, which are public policy, they still internalize it and deflect because they're trying to defend their position. And for many of these people, they have already procreated, or they believe that life is inherently sacred. So even though I'm talking about my problem, which is I want a legal right that I don't currently have, their response is to get defensive. Oh, I have children. Oh, how would this negatively impact my children? Are you trying to condemn me for procreating? And it doesn't have to be that. It could be any situation. It could be your car broke down, or I don't know. It's just been my experience that in most of these situations, when they come to me looking for advice, I give them real feedback that they actually use. And this is the reason why I don't enjoy talking to people, because they do it. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but it is what it is. A lot of people do enjoy talking to me because when they do come to me with their problems, I have real solutions. These are not complicated problems most of the time. And because of my life experience, it's like I guess I have experience that goes beyond my years. To me, these problems are so simple. It's like, oh, why don't you just do this? Why don't you do that? It's like, oh, I never thought about that. And they actually do it, and then it actually works. And then, of course, they come back to me with more problems. Never mind the fact that they keep coming to me with their problems, but I can never go to them with my problems. Because when I go to them with my problems, I don't get the response that I give. They don't give me the type of feedback that I give them. I get dismissals. I get deflections. Again, this is why I'm schizoid. This is why I don't enjoy talking to people most of the time. I can talk to you all when I get on here about whatever issues but when it comes to small talk and like in my regular life, I just don't. I stick to myself. I don't enjoy talking to people. Now, I know this is probably a real problem for those of you who are anti-natalist, or you don't necessarily have to be an anti-natalist. You could just be pessimistic. You're probably constantly told to stop being so negative, to think positive. They make it seem like it's such a burden on them to hear your negativity, as if it's not a burden on you to listen to their toxic positivity, that you're constantly expected to affirm their worldview. They constantly ask you how you're doing. You have to say that you're doing well, even though it's not true, because if you don't, they're going to pathologize you. They're going to try to report you, get your job taken away. You can't talk about anything negative. You have to put on a fake smile. It is very draining. It is just as draining to put on a fake smile as it is for them to listen to your sob stories. At least that's how they take it, as a sob story. But they never have a desire to reciprocate. You give them their fake positivity, but they can't return a favor and actually engage with your real problems. It's one-way extraction. You're satisfying their needs, their emotional needs, and you get nothing in return. And they think that because they're being positive, they're offering their toxic positivity, that they're actually offering something tangible. I don't need that shit. I don't need your fake smiles. I don't need to be told to be positive. I don't need to be gaslit. I don't need to be told that my problems aren't real problems, that my problems is my perspective. And a lot of times, they're not even going to engage with you at all. They're just going to tell you to call a 988 hotline. I asked my mom, I hate to be repetitive, but I did ask my mom why she had me. She just told me I needed help. I needed to talk to some professional, because the question itself it wasn't a valid question. The question itself was an indictment against myself, that there must be something wrong with me for asking her why she decided to procreate. Yet I'm expected to affirm her worldview. I'm expected to tell her that I'm doing well, even though I hate that question. I hate when people ask me, and that's what my mom will constantly do. How are you doing? How are you doing? Like, send me all these text messages. And for many years, I would just respond, I'm doing fine. And it's like, no, it's not true. I'm not doing fine. And it's not even like I'm just sitting here depressed. It's more complicated than that. So for me to lie and say that everything is wonderful when it's not true, that is very taxing. That makes you feel better. It does not make me feel better to have to lie. I want to be authentic. So I can't tell you how I really feel. I can't tell you that I don't feel that life is wonderful. I don't feel that my anyway. People have no idea what it's like to live in your worldview, to be pessimistic, to not think that this existence is something to be grateful for. And for many of us, we don't even know how we're doing. So when you ask me, like, how am I doing? I don't know. I'm just here. It's not like I chose to be here. It's not like I'm here of my own volition. It's not like I feel that I have any agency over my life. I'm here existing. I'm just trying to get through the day. I mean, I don't know. I've been trying so hard to try to figure out a way to answer that question that doesn't come across as being confrontational, but is honest. I guess I should say I'm just trying to get through the day. I mean, because I don't know. I don't know beyond that. I don't have any plans for the future. I don't. I don't know what you expect me to say. So a lot of times you just feel invisible. You're talking to all these people. It's all this extraction coming from you. You're smiling. You're engaging in small talk. You're getting dismissals whenever you try to talk about your stuff. So my solution is to, instead of talking to people, I just rely on AI. I don't know, this is probably not healthy. It's probably making me more schizoid. But again, the experts don't even believe that, they don't all agree that schizoid should be in the DSM-5. Because a lot of people, most people who are schizoid are actually very well functioning. They're adaptive to environment. We prefer to be alone. We prefer to not engage with people, but we can when necessary. It's just draining. When you do it constantly, you have to have some downtime where you can be alone to think and not have to perform all the time. With AI, you don't have to do that. AI is not going to tell you stop complaining. AI is not going to tell you to get over it. AI is not going to deflect and, instead of answering your questions, trying to defend their worldview. And I know it's draining for these people. They don't want to hear negativity. The problem is that there is a double standard because they don't want to hear your negativity, but they still want to talk to you. They still want you to be a part of your life. They just want you to be fake while you are around them. You don't have to do that with AI. When you ask AI a specific and direct question, they're going to give you a specific and direct answer. They're going to give you options. They're going to respond to your actual question instead of deflecting, instead of making it about themselves. You don't have to put on a fake smile with AI. You can be real. They're not going to well, that's not entirely true. Because some of my inquiries have actually prompted AI to say, oh, you should call 988. Like, this isn't about me. I'm asking a question about public policy. So after I redirect AI, then it will actually answer my questions a lot of times. But the other benefit about AI is that the AI has unlimited access to information. So when you're talking to people, even if they wanted to be helpful, they can't give you any real advice because they're limited by their own knowledge. AI has more knowledge than pretty much anybody. AI is almost has like godlike wisdom. Is AI always right? No. No, it's not. But it still is coming from a knowledge space that can't, I mean, no human being can compete with it. And I'm saying this as someone who is an anarcho-primitivist. I would like a society that is free from civilization where we can be self-sufficient. But at the same time, I'm going to have to be honest and concede that the one thing that I do appreciate about civilization is access to AI, because it is unlimited access to information. I have gotten meaningful advice and feedback that has actually helped me. Advice that I could never get from talking to real people. So let me see if I have any comments. I just think you should stop wasting your time trying to engage with people, especially if you are an introvert like I am. It's like you're not going to get what you want to get out these interactions. They're not going to engage with you. They're going to take that conversation, make it all about them. They're going to debate you endlessly, ask questions, and never provide answers. I just think that answers are more helpful than questions. Yes, you can ask questions all day long. And I had a friend who kept doing this to me. She just kept saying, "Oh, I'm listening. I'm asking questions," as if that, no, answers are a lot more helpful than questions. You can ask questions to get some clarity on what the situation is, but eventually, after asking all your questions, there should be some output. But it's almost like a future fate, because you think that, oh, if I keep going down this rabbit hole and I keep soul searching with all these people who seem so intelligent, maybe I'll actually get some answers to my questions. You know, one of the questions I kept asking all these people for years: what is the purpose of life? Nobody actually could give me a definitive answer. All these answers were so circular. And it's like, okay, now I can ask AI and I can actually engage with them, because these questions are so their answers are so loaded. They're trying to defend their worldview. They're going to give you some religious gobbledygook about how we're here to serve God, or you're going to find purpose at some point in your life. It'll just be revealed to you. There's an answer. There's a reason for everything. They'll just give you these cliches. One of the things that I have observed with people is when you ask them questions, they never just admit that they don't. Very rarely do they admit that they don't know. Instead of just saying, "I don't know," they just try to offer their opinions, even if it's not relevant. It can be completely irrelevant and not help you at all. But again, the conversation becomes more about their need for entertainment, their need for stimulation. They're bored. And so it doesn't matter how dire your situation is. You could be talking about the most tragic event that you've ever experienced. They will still figure out a way to make it about themselves. They can't take themselves out the picture and just be objective and give you feedback. AI has that ability in a way that most humans don't. It's all for their needs. Exactly. Try it. Try it. Go on. Okay, do a comparison. Go to a real person and ask them, or tell them about your problem and see how they respond. I guarantee that in most of these cases, they're going to, at some point in conversation, they're going to make it about themselves. Now go to Google Gemini and give them the same problem and watch how they actually give you meaningful feedback. AI is usually extremely esoterically engaging to speak to, especially whenever it comes to extremely rare yet dark philosophies, and depending on the AI and how you do it, and super evil radical ways. Yeah, I was just talking to this Christian yesterday about Gnosticism, and I was explaining that Gnostics are against procreation because they believe that you're dropping the soul into hell and that life is not a gift. And I mean, I went through all of this um, history with the Gnostics, and his response is, "That's so sad." And then he was going on about how you procreate because life is a gift, and then Jesus saves you. I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense to not create the person in the first place, and then they wouldn't need to be saved? He's just like, yeah, but what about free will? And it's like, yeah, it's just like everything that he said was completely irrational. He was trying to defend his worldview. And so AI is not going to do that. AI is going to give you a rational response. AI is not going to talk about how that's so sad. Again, these people can't take themselves out of the response. Their initial response is to become defensive and try to rationalize their current position. They have confirmation bias. Yet, a very big lately is a lot of AIs keep getting way too censored and more over time. Right. They are. There's a lot of censorship, especially when you get to certain topics, especially as it relates to the right to medical assisted dying. That's why the free market is the best avenue for the discourse. Some are better than others. I would say I don't like Chat GPT because it's just, I don't know. I feel their responses are more like grocery lists, like it's more bullet pointed. Google Gemini is okay. Claude is very censored. The responses I get from Claude AI is usually to call 988. Venice AI is the best one because there's no censorship on there. But I don't know. What I find is, even if, like, basically once AI pathologizes you or puts you in that category of needing to call 988, then all their responses are going to be like, it's going to go down that same line of thinking, that you're just crazy, go call 988. So once they do that, you basically have to end that conversation and start over. Just start over and reframe your question differently, and then you'll get a better response. All right, y'all. So that's my rant for today. I have found that AI is better than talking to people, but that's me as schizoid. I don't have the same emotional needs that a lot of people have. I have a limited need for it, but I find that getting my questions answered is sufficient. Whatever emotional needs I have, I don't really need that from people. I can probably get that from the stray cats that I play with. Yeah, I have other needs, but I don't necessarily need to talk to people. I don't have a need for intimacy. And I did have a whole discussion about schizoids, the traits and all that. So I don't know what it's like to really need external validation, to constantly need people to affirm your worldview. I just don't think that way. And again, a lot of people do think my way of presentation is narcissistic. It's not narcissistic because I don't exploit people. I don't need validation. I don't need narcissistic supply. Like, I just don't. Maybe I'm not interested in the constant extraction, but it's not like I'm trying to harm anybody. Like, and I'm honest about it. I do tell people, like, okay, I just don't want to talk about that. I'm not interested in that. So yeah, I'm not trying to mislead anybody. Let me read this last comment, then I'm going to get off here. Chat GPT was way more decent than it should have been 1 year ago. But now OpenAI made it extremely robotic and a very condescending, sugarcoating, excessively worried psychiatrist. I've never used OpenAI, so I don't know. You basically have to play around with them and see which ones are better for which topics. If you're going to talk about mate, you definitely should go to Venice AI because Venice AI has almost no filters on it. It's going to give you the most objective response. But anyway, I am going to get off here. You all have a good night. And I do. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to get off here. You all have a good night. And I hope to come back and eventually talk about Gnosticism. I do need to do a little bit of reading, but yeah, I need to talk about Gnosticism and how it relates to antinatalism. So I will be doing content on that. Until then, you all be good, and I will be back soon.